proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast, Season 3, Episode 9. Connor, we're going to talk rallying once again, and another busy show.
Indeed, Kevin, that time of the week that we all look forward to. And yeah, as you say, another busy show. There's lots going on.
Yeah, and I suppose anyway, before we start, if you can please subscribe to the channel, either YouTube or wherever you get your audio from as well, that'd be gratefully appreciated. And, you know, we like or a comment there is always gratefully appreciated as well. This week we catch up with Adrian Hetherington and Ronan O'Neill, who took a fine third overall and second in the historic championship points in the Riponian Rally in Yorkshire last weekend. And then we look forward to then the start of the Irish Forestry Championship with Cian Donnellan, the Irish Forestry PRO, and then the last two guests we've on two separate is Gavin Campbell, the championship coordinator for the Northern Ireland Championship, and then Andrew Bushe, who is making a comeback in the Micra challenge. So busy again. But Connor, our guys went over to the Riponian rally last weekend, the historic guys, and done exceptionally well. Adrian and Ronan come away with third overall, but second in the historic. Then there are a few others and got great results as well too. Owen Mackin, I think 6th or 7th overall. Michael McDade been on the show a few times as well. He was having a great run, but unfortunately got beached. There was a few others in as well too. David Crossan unfortunately slid off in the first stage, but it's so positive. We've said this before, we always used to be known in Ireland here for being tar drivers, but our pace has come on the gravel, not just the young guys, but the seasoned competitor as well.
Absolutely, and again, not just the talent, but also on the gravel surface, but the historics now as well. We really are laying down markers, not just in the modern rally cars, but when you go back to the historics, where the interest is there. Guys are out spending the money on getting top spec cars, and it's great to see.
Yeah, because we had no Marty McCormick, no Paul Barrett, Chris Meek, we can throw him into the historic brigade now too, after the RAC. Catherine McCourt, another man, might make an appearance in the historic car before the year's out. We had such great performances last weekend without the big names, so I think it could be a really good year for the Irish over there in the British Historic Championship.
Absolutely, like the potential is definitely there, and it's great to see. And what do you call it? With Andy Hayes out there, we only spoke to Andy there, and Andy was competing along with Barry McKenna. So certainly our regulars are popping up there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, because Andy had never sat in the historic car until last weekend too, so that was a whole new experience for him as well too. Yeah, so yeah, I think without further ado, I think we'll catch up with Adrian and Ronan.
No, it was good, to be fair, not too bad. Very, very tricky day, and Sunday conditions was against everybody. It was actually quite nice on Saturday, and there was a torrential amount of rain came on during the night and into Sunday morning. Even some of the road sections, there was floods running across the roads. But no, it was good. Hey, we just picked a good pace from the start and stuck to it, and a couple of good runs, so very pleased.
Yeah, because the conditions did look horrendous. There seemed to be a lot of standing water, and it'd been so easy to get sucked into one of them big, they were almost like mini lakes, big puddles, whatever you want to call them. But they could have sucked you in and just left you just at the side of the road and that day over.
There was grip wasn't good now in places, but and there were there's a lot of stages there where inside the corners where that was the line you had to take. You had to be in there, so you had no other choice but to commit to it.
And Adrian, those were conditions not normally seen. Do you enjoy them kind of conditions, or is it just caution as the main part of the day?
I wouldn't say anybody enjoys them sort of conditions. Caution, as I said at the end of the first stage, caution was our sort of way of playing it, because we wanted to get off to a good start. The last thing we wanted was a non-finish, and the first stage, we hadn't a great time on the first stage, but I really and truly couldn't have went an awful lot quicker without going off on the first stage. So I was happy enough after that. I knew that the next stage, Crafton, the 9 miler, was a big open stage, even though there was floods on some insides of some of the corners. I knew that we'd get the time, would start and claw the time back on the bigger stages, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you're just glad to get the first stage over and get confidence built up again, because even I know the RAC was the last rally you're in, but 3 months out of the car, it just takes a wee while of getting going again.
It does. Well, I didn't get any testing or anything done before the rally. As I say, it was a lot. The Sunday of the RAC was the last time I even seen the car. But no, we just picked it. As Ronan said there, we picked the pace and we stuck to it. We knew that we'd get them on the bigger stages. The first stage was very, very tricky. It was like a lottery, and David Crossan went off and Michael McDade as well at the very same place. So, that would tell you something about it.
Yeah, for sure. And the strength and depth now in that British Historic Championship now, there is 12, maybe 15 guys all going to that event, all thinking they're going to get at least a podium. It's become a very strong championship.
Well, you'll see more of them out, I would imagine, in North Wales. I'll say you'll see the Pritchards and all those bigger guys out at that one now. Mm-hmm. I would expect.
Yeah, and whenever you get, what we have here in Ireland, our historic scene now is getting as good as anybody. Yourselves, Paul Barrett, Owen Mackin, Michael McDade, David Crossan. All these guys can go and compete against the best that has to offer, the British Championship has to offer.
Yeah, all the boys are very competitive compared to them as well. Every one of the guys that you mentioned there could be on the podium at any stage,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Ronan, it is great to see. We're always Ireland has always been kind of regarded as being tarmac specialist and one thing and another, but it's good to see our guys is as good in gravel now as anybody.
Oh, for sure, and to be fair, the RAC showed that. Top two finishers both from this side of the water. Yeah. But as Adrian was saying there, I think the championship this year it will probably you'll see more appearances from different people, because although there's 9 or I think there's 10 rounds, there's 11 scoring rounds, but you need to score in 7. Okay. So you can afford to drop a round or two and still be there to finish the season for a strong finish. So you probably will see different appearances from different people along the way,
Mm-hmm. People will kind of pick and choose the events that suit them and they enjoy more. So
yeah, no, I would say that will happen. So a lot of the Welsh boys maybe didn't come to Yorkshire, but you'll see them out in North Wales or whatever. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah. And Adrian, we know the 4-wheel drives are starting to appear in the British Historic Championship. At the moment, they're not scoring the championship points as such. The guys will score class points or one thing or another. But I suppose there is a day coming that it's going to go 4-wheel drive. But until then, you're still enjoying it and competing against the other guys in the BDAs and BDGs.
Yeah, all the competition's brilliant. I suppose the natural progression of things is that the 4-wheel drive has to come out of homologation. It'll all come in, but it won't make us interesting for the 2-wheel drive men, but I'm sure I suppose we'll still be there, but from a point of view of winning the championship, the escorts days are numbered once again,
But I seen something there. The guy that won the head of use, I think in the overall results he'd have been 8th overall. And that's ahead of some of the R5s and all. That shows the pace of the championship. You are all going really, really hard out there.
Well, he wasn't that. I don't think he was that far in front of us. But I didn't say it. Ronan would know better. He could tell you how far in front he was. But the escorts are going fast here. If you're, Matthew Robinson is one of the best drivers about, and he was at home in Yorkshire, so that would tell you where the pace was. Everybody else was close enough to him.
Yeah, Ronan. He wasn't he wasn't that far up the road from you. I would say you were probably around about 9th, 10th overall. That's fantastic when you consider the amount of R5 Rally 2 cars that was starting that event there on Sunday.
Well, I think probably some of the first times we went against Matthew Robinson over there, he would have took 10 seconds stage, did he? Uh-huh. So to be 11 behind him after 6 stages was a big improvement. But Going back to what you're saying about the four-wheel drive thing, I think we finished the two-wheel drive cars. Was there 6 R5 cars in front of us? So it showed the pace was still pretty good in the two-wheel drive side of it. I think it's going to take a wee bit longer for that four-wheel drive thing to break into that championship. There's probably not a huge availability cars-wise at the minute as well. It could be competitive. So I think you'll still see the two-wheel drive's been successful for a few years yet.
Yeah, because there isn't sort of a natural successor in the two-wheel drive to the Escort. Like the Manta, impossible to get parts for. The M3 never was competitive on gravel. So like, as for a two-wheel drive, the Mark II is probably as good as it gets.
Oh, for sure it is, and to be fair, bits is quite easy to get for them, and they're when they're well maintained, they're a good reliable car and competitive. So it ticks all the boxes from that perspective.
Adrian, like that's the thing with the Mark II, the availability of parts and the fun to drive as well too. No point of like denying it. Like, the fun part of rallying is what it's all about in historic rallying, as much as the competitive side of it as well.
When you're driving a fairly simplistic car, there's not a lot of things can go wrong. I'm not saying that they don't go wrong, but there's not a lot can go wrong. A modified car probably has a lot more that can go wrong with it. But the availability of parts, you can get anything for it, and carry most of the spares with you that you need, right down to gearboxes and all the rest. Like so, no, from that point of view, it's probably economical enough, and you're able to get the stuff too.
Yeah, and then looking forward now to the rest of the season. Is the plan to try and commit to the British Championship then and see how it goes?
We're taking it around at a time. Last year we made a big commitment to it, and after we spoke to you, we didn't have a good run after it. You jinxed it, Gavin. We were going well a couple of times, and then we went off and broke down one thing or another. So we're taking it one at a time. As Ronan says, there's 11 rounds, and you have to score in 7. So that gives you 4 there that you can, a bit of a buffer, like.
Yeah, and do you mind, jumping on the boat and going across to these events? Like, with some of them, you have quite a long drive when you get to the other side, or is that just part and parcel of the event?
Oh, you used to crack with the boys and that, and it's all part of the fun of the weekend.
Yeah, and the fact there is more guys coming from over here now too as well. Does that sort of bring a bit more kind of a spirit to the thing as well? That you have some of the local guys to banter with as well.
There will be a bit of camaraderie, all right. Everybody, especially if we're all in the same sailing, there'll be a bit of crack going. Like.
The winding up starts before the rally.
Oh, hey, somebody's wind you up for weeks before the
rally. And Ronan, then the Circuit Ireland's coming up. Well, before we even get to Circuit Ireland, 5 Mile Town. That's the after the Bushwhacker, it's the one that you all want as well too. And is that in the pipeline as well?
Yeah, no, 5 Mile Town now in less than a week and a half or so. I'm not too sure what the format is this year, if it's changed about or any difference, but I'm sure it'll be relatively familiar, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But I think we have a new base for a new HQ, so I would say the stages should be pretty good now, in fairness.
Aye, because like Omagh Motor Club always put on a great rally, and the 5 Mile Town has become sort of undergone a wee bit of resurgence in this last couple of years too, and it's become a great event once again. It went through a period there, it was starting to fall off again, but it's starting to come good again.
No, to be fair, Roman's a good club. They do a lot of work. They've done great work with the Bushwhacker and 5 Mile Town, and the sponsorship from Samsona seems to have brought it on well, and they had a great field of guys going there with the time Samsona's guy was coming over and whatnot. So, but there'll be plenty there. I'm sure all the locals in the two-wheel drive section will not be far away. So there's plenty to race.
That's for sure. Adrian, it has become, especially for the two-wheel drive guys, 5 Mile Town was always special for you guys.
Oh, so it's the first rally I ever done, and I've always enjoyed it now. The competition has always been good. Shane McGarr, Frank Kelly, Vivian Hamill, all them guys, Paul Barrett. Hopefully as many of them turn up as possible next week. That's my view on it anyhow.
Yeah.
But it's also, 5 Mile Town is also very good for spectators as well. It seems to be spectator friendly as well as competitor friendly,
Yeah,
So there's always good crowds.
everyone's so close around. You have services like close by, and you can pop out in the stages, and you can like a lot of places you can get into quite handy. For forestry rallying because sometimes they're quite off the beaten track, but the 5 mile town they are easy got to the locations as well.
I would love to go to watch it and do it. I'd love to be able to. I would love to be able to watch it. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
probably be able to watch it shortly, but it'd be nice to see as well as do as well.
Yeah. And then I mentioned then it was the Circuit Ireland. It's coming local to you, based out of Dungannon this year. I would say that puts it on the to-do list.
We're definitely going to do that. Yeah, hopefully anyhow.
Yeah.
It's running past Frank Kelly's front door, so we'll have to give him a run on that one.
So, Ronan, it's going to be a busy year then.
Aye, well, sure. Well, as I said, we'll take it round by round and see what happens. But there's a few plans there in the pipeline at the minute, so it'll be nice. Circuit will be nice, to be fair. It's always nice to rally close to home, so that's quite close to me as well there. So and run out in Gannon. So I don't know a lot about it. I've just heard different bits and pieces of what stage they're using. So I'm sure we'll know more in a few weeks' time.
So thanks to Adrian and Ronan there, and hopefully we'll catch up with them guys as the season progresses. And I'm not a jinx on them this year. This weekend coming up, we have the start of the Irish Forestry and the Northern Ireland Championship. But first of all, the Irish Forestry, Killarney this weekend. Connor, there's a great lineup of stuff there this weekend.
Well, listen, there's a very tasty top 10, and certainly I would say amongst the top 5 or 6, you wouldn't know who could take it.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's going to be just there's Jordan Hones back there again. He showed some great pace last year. Vivian Hamill's getting settled into the polo. He's a year behind under his belt now at this stage. Andrew Purcell, another man that goes hard and won the rally sprint there over Christmas and all too. So yeah, there's a lot of good names there. And then young O'Brien's coming over, and I think that's a Fiesta WRC he's in as well too. So
it is, yeah.
So will all the WRC make a difference? Just so hard to know. So lots of variables there. And then in the 2-wheel drive, then too, maybe the big names and the big hitters is not there, but so many of the guys out in Rally 4, all the young guns is coming up through, and that's fantastic to see.
Oh, listen, there's some very interesting competition amongst that Rally 4. KCJ, Coleman, you've got Cian Caldwell, Ryan McHugh, Keelan Grogan, so it's definitely is, and Connor Wilson there as well. So certainly a tasty mix there.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting battle, because every event them guys go out to do is, it's tenths of seconds, it's fractions of seconds separating them. So no doubt once they all get up to speed in the gravel, it's going to be the same there. So I think we'll hear from Cian Donnellan, the PRO for the Irish Forestry, and he gives us his thoughts on Killarney and then the championship ahead. So Cian, Killarney Forestry this weekend. It's hard to believe that the Forestry Championship's ready to kick off. It only seems that a very short time since we were finishing up in the Bushwhacker last year.
Yeah, we did. We had our trip north last. What was that? September, and you're going. Yeah, the months have flown by quickly, and a bumper entry heading to Castle Island on Saturday night for the launch. Sunday morning, 6 stages in store. The entry list at the minute is over 90 cars. So real good interest and some really interesting entries. Couple of interesting boys towards the front, and of course then the massive interest in the junior categories, both the Rally 4 classes and the J1000s.
Yeah, like Irish Rally and the Irish Forestry Rally, I should say, has gone on a real revival, especially over the last couple of years. The entry lists are booming. Like, to hear of 90 entries, that's unheard of. Especially at the start of the year. Most clubs at this time of the year in forestry would have been lucky if they were getting 50, 60. To hear of 90, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I suppose we're in a weird spot that there's a huge interest in the gravel side of rallying and the development, but there isn't a massive amount of events. Like, we look at down south this year, the championship this year is a 6-round championship. We've 4 gravel rallies in the whole of Ireland, and then with the 2 Northern Ireland events with the Lakelands and the Wacker. So there's a massive appetite for the sport, just not enough either support from clubs wanting to run events or people just not available to find stages to compete. But when clubs are brave enough to compete or to put on rounds, there's huge interest in it. We see now this year we've got Clare joining the championship. First time in 40 years they're bringing gravel rallying to the county. So that's another club that are seeing the success of the sport. There's a couple of gravel loose surface sprints popping up around the country as well, which are clubs looking to get into gravel rallying and saying, look, we'll give it a go and see, is there an interest? And I know my own club, Cork, we were in the Rogera Sprint to Christmas, and there's huge appetite for gravel rallying.
Mm-hmm. And especially now with the rotational calendar and the national championship, it probably opens the door for other clubs to get involved. Because the year they're not running around to the national, the opportunity is there to try a gravel, because, as you say, that there's a desire there for guys to come out and compete.
Absolutely, like you're looking at Blarney came back. This is their third year back after a break. They took a break for about 15 years away from gravel rallying, and that event is absolutely booming. And we'll see that with the entry that came out only the other day. The traditional clubs are still there. The likes of Cork still running the Jim Walsh, Carrick and Shore running the Willie Loughlin. They're pillars of the championship, and the same the northern events, the Lakelands and the Wacker. But to see the likes of last year, now we had Tipperary join the championship with the Sean Conlon event. Clare running this year. It's as you say, it's a fantastic chance for clubs to run events in their down or fallow year.
Yeah, because we know how the green and pleasant land of Ireland. There's loads of forests out there, and it's just there's probably loads of really really good stages that haven't been tapped into at all yet.
And they're an incredible event. Like, even I suppose every event takes a huge amount of workload, but the gravel is a bit less involved in a tarmac rally. You don't have a lot of the PR involved in residents on stages. You're in a confined area. There's huge reward for clubs that are interested in running the event. And I know from a championship point of view, we're always encouraging clubs to come and talk to us. We're always looking to bring clubs and let them see what it takes to run an event, and are they interested what we can bring to them. Like, look at Killarney now, have made the push, and they're getting massive reward for it, in fairness, and they've raised incredible money for charities in the Kerry area, and it's testament to themselves. And I know Clare are making huge strides this year to A, make a success of their event, and B, to become hopefully potentially a long-term member of the championship.
Excellent. And then we started talking about some of the crews. Like, there's guys who just love gravel, and they will they'll travel across water, everything to compete on gravel. That is their thing, and that is shown by and it's not just a few years ago the cars might not have always been the best of quality, but we have the cream of the crop now too. It's R5s, it's Rally 4 cars, it's Rally 3 cars, and even in the modified, Shane McGurr and the Lada, that car, if anybody ever gets a chance, there's always the jokes about a Lada, but go and look at the quality of the build in this car. It's exceptional.
And I challenge anyone, go and stand in a forest and hear that lad coming on song towards you, and it's incredible. But as you say, there was always probably a perception that forest cars were that bit rough around the edges, and but as you say, the level of machinery that's turning up now. You look at the entry list, you go to any event, and it is cutting edge machinery competing. You see now, the front of the field this year, we've Jordan Hohan first on the road, himself and his father. Jordan's coming off probably by his standards a poor year last year. Probably got jumped early on in the championship by Ryan Caldwell and Mark Donnelly, and it knocked him. But Jordan is an incredible driver, and he rightly deserves to be first on the road. You've got Vivian Hamill behind him. Vivian, absolute revelation last year. You've got really, really strong. Andrew Purcell is there, number 2 on the road. He won the Cork Bogger Sprint at Christmas, and really, again, as you say, pretty much a brand newly built Volkswagen Polo. You've got Vivian in the Polo, Steve McCann in the Ford. You look down the entry list, you got Dara Cairns in the Fiesta or in the Fabians. Yeah. It's all top level machineries that are coming out. And then you go to the modified, and guys are properly building cars now specifically for the woods.
For sure. And then, we've seen how good these young guys are coming through now, and they're wanting the gravel experience. They're going over and competing in the BRC and things, but the forestry at home is every bit as competitive and every bit as good, because they're all there as well in Killarney next Sunday as well.
It would have. I remember when I first started getting involved in forest rallying, it was you had your boys at the front, and the two-wheel drive was always the big escort men. It was your Shane McGurr, well, he'd have been in the Starlet, you'd have had Adrian Hetherington, you'd have had Sam Stewart, all that sort of Davy Condell. That was the gang that dominated, Mickey Conlon. Nowadays, you're seeing the results, and like we've had last year, we had a two-wheel drive top three on an event that was all front-wheel drive Rally 4 cars. We've had Dylan Eves on the podium in Tipperary last year. You know, we've had massive success from the youngsters that are really putting it up to the big two-wheel drive monsters. And now this year, especially, you're seeing an absolute explosion in Rally 4 machines coming through. Like you go down the list and it's like all of the superstars of tomorrow from Ireland, they're all going to be in Killarney. You're Jack Brennan, you're Casey J. Coleman, Craig Rahill, Cian Calder, you know, all these guys. There's more I'm probably forgetting. Ryan McHugh making his forestry debut. You know, you have all these guys that are competing for Billy Coleman Awards as part of the Academy, and they're all coming down now, seeing the value of having forest experience.
Yeah, because like to progress beyond Ireland, you need to be, you know, familiar with the car and gravel, how it's going to react and all that. And like for, you know, not dangerous money, you can go and compete and have a great day on the gravel. And, you know, the stages are not rough now. You know, we on days of old, you know, we've seen, you know, stages cutting up real rough, real, you know, sore car breakers. But them days are long gone.
It's almost like, I know that there's sort of there can be a negativity at times towards sort of like environmentalism, but the onslaught of like the wind farms in rural areas have created some of the finest gravel stages this country's ever known. Now, you go up into the Bogra complex in Cork, or you go into some of like the wind farm areas. They're roads that you'd go down in your road car at proper speed, and you would have no fear. These things are the days of real hard rough forestries are gone, and it's testament to the clubs that are putting on the events. The foresters in the events are in the areas that they're working with, and Cuilche, who are providing incredible facilities now, alongside these private companies that allow the rallies to come onto their properties. And like we're seeing, what we're seeing now is a generation of talent that's going out of Ireland with experience, whereas before we probably sent some of our finest drivers away into either the British Championship or Europe that just didn't know forestry, and they were fantastic on tarmac in Ireland, and they were being found out. They were just being left behind by guys that had grown up competing in the woods. And I think you look now at, as you say, like the success of, you look at the results of the Cambrian, the final round of the VRC. It was pretty, there was guys, Irish guys in two-wheel drive cars that were beating R5 cars, or Rally 4, or Rally 2. Sorry, actually, she wrote a piece today about like the Rally 2 and the R5, and I'm still confused by
Yeah, and the one thing that, you know, over the last couple of, I suppose, 3 years now, has become a sensationalized is the Junior 1000 and the, you know, the Irish Forestry as well. Like that has been a revelation. You know, we list off the winners, and these guys are our new stars. Yeah,
in fairness, it's testament to one of the visionaries of the J1000, and he was the forefront of forest rallying for a long time, was Ray Fitz. And Ray saw the success that it was having in the UK and in the North and in Scotland, and introduced what would pretty much the ultimate development opportunity. So it's anyone that hasn't been out to a forest, it's 14 to 18-year-olds competing on full rallies. It's simple as that. These are youngsters, some of them, they're years away from ever being able to compete on the road or drive on the road. And we're putting them into a forest, and these guys are incredible. And like you meet these youngsters, and they're so driven to succeed in the sport because they're given the opportunity to compete from so early on. And in fairness, like everything is tailored to try and maximize their opportunities. They run first on the roads. They're guaranteed that they'll get the full mileage. They get, you know, there's incredible support packages, not only through the MI Rally Academy, but now we have the Craig Breen Foundation building on the work that Craig started last. Like when you have world stars seeing what this J1000 series is doing and getting involved, it's mad. But like you see now, Clarny, there's 24 J1000 cars. We had a technical day in Mondello about 3 weeks ago. I think we had 16 cars that day went up, were ranked. So from this year, every car that competes will have been scrutinized. Everything is sealed boxes, really controlled this year. And we put out afterwards. So it's like, okay, right, we had 15 cars here. How many more are there? How many more want to compete? I think there's another 14 came out of the woodwork. So like there is, and right across the country, it's not only people that are competing now, people are building cars to move on. The likes of the Travers, David Travers, he's crossed over from competing in circuit racing in Mondello. They're competing in a Citroen but building a Volkswagen. You the likes of Ross Ryan. Ross had a bad accident in the final round last year. They've come back with a brand new car. You've a huge amount of people that are not only using the time to develop as drivers, but now developing their cars and their setup and skills through the championship.
And another thing that I think is fantastic with the Junior 1000 is, it's a lot of sons and daughters of competitors as well too, and it's bringing that whole family vibe to rallying as well. That's just something that rallying. It's not easy in any other sport, but father and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter can compete, and that's such a lovely thing. They can be in the same car. They can, there's so many ways that this can work out. They can, the father could be running number 21 on the road, and the daughter could be running like 315 or whatever on the road. We things like that, just great wee stories developing right through the whole year.
Yeah, like even you look at like the Caldwells. You've got Cian now competing in the Rally 4 208. And then his brother and his father are competing in the J1000. So it's a real family affair. We've 3 of those competing. But look at even like car number 1 on the road, Jordan and Paul Hohen. They've competed together the whole way up.
Yeah.
The 2 furlongs, Tommy and his father Niall in the J1000s. You've Oisin and Fabian McShane, newcomers to the championship from Donegal. They're showing a lot of pace and a lot of promise going into the year. They're another family that are really just delighted to get involved, and it becomes a family affair. Going like the J1000s this year with the Forest Championship, they've four rounds to compete on, and every one of those rounds is going to be hotly contested.
Mm-hmm. And and just from a Donegal point of view, the Junior 1000 has really caught on in Donegal. There's a serious amount of Donegal crews. We haven't had a forestry rally here now in 5 years, I'm going to say, and to see the way that has really caught the attention of the young crews coming up through, that has to be welcome, because we're always seen as sure, Donegal, it's only ever Tara they ever bother with.
Yeah, but I suppose the real the forerunner there is probably Jack Harris. He came into the championship very young and has competed. I'd say he's probably 3 or 4 years in the series competed now, and he's now moving on to the Rally 2, or he's bought an R2T car, so a Class 2. But from talking to people, he's now given time back, developing the likes of young McShane. He's the guy that's giving him driving coaching, and I said there's others within the county. You've got Ciara Duggan from just over the border in Derry. She would have competed in the championship, and again is moving on to the next level of the sport. So there's definitely a hotbed in that area it's an opportunity for youngsters to get out competing even earlier than they can on tarmac.
Yeah, for sure. And then, as well as that, the young ones coming through, the other 2 great initiatives is the MA, the Junior Series, and then the MA, the dual surface for the Junior 1000. Like the MA dual surface, that's going to be like the forerunner if they ever want to go and compete in the BRC or the ERC. It's a dual surface. This is where it needs to be for these guys coming up through.
Oh, 100%. So the MIJRS, or the Motorsport Ireland Junior Rally Series, as I say, it's Ireland's actually only national dual surface championship. So it's caters for the J1000 drivers within that category. We have a new class this year of Class 16, which would be the traditional tarmac juniors, and Rally 5. They're now combined together. So it's open to any driver under 23 in that category. And then we have 2 new classes as well. So the Rally 4 guys have their own class, and the R2 and R2T guys have their own class as well. So MOJRS is supported by MI, supported by the Rally Academy, and as I say, it's designed to be the real driver evolution championship or series. So this year now, I think there's nearly €70,000 in prize funds available. So every class will have opportunities for drivers to win support and scholarship through the academy, and that will go towards support on event into 2025 through the academy as well. So massive opportunities, and as well as that, a lot of our winners, there's an automatic Billy Coleman Award nomination for 3 of the class winners, just not for the J1000s. But like we've seen, like last year, all of our MIJRS nominees were on the shortlist for the Billy Coleman Award, and that just shows that it's an opportunity, as you say, and we mentioned earlier, to build up experience on both surfaces. So for the J1000 guys specifically, they'll compete on the 4 southern events within the Sligo Palace Championship, as well as 2 tarmac rally sprints. So those are in Wexford and on Carrick-on-Shore, and they'll compete on 2 loose surface rally sprints, which is Laois and Imachilly, which is an exciting new event in March. For the other classes, they'll do the 4 southern rounds of the Forestry Championship, and they'll do 4 rounds of the National Rally Championship as well. So and the scores are based across best scores on both surfaces to try and encourage the participation on the dual surface.
Excellent. I'm not favour somebody that just goes and does the tire rounds and one's all for it. No, that's no use. You need to be competing on both surfaces. Yeah, which is brilliant. Yeah.
Like we had instances this year where guys could have probably won, or last year where they would have gotten an award only for the fact that they didn't compete on enough rounds on certain surfaces. So it encourages fellas. Like I know the standout one for me last year was Jack McKenna in the Civic. Like Jack had never competed on gravel and just took an idea. He says, "Look, I have the Civic. Let's give it a go." Bolted the gravel tires on. He had an absolute ball. We saw him. He competed on the rounds that he needed for the championship, and then came to the bushwhacker anyway because he said, "Look, this is just brilliant crack." Himself and Matt Kieran's, and that showed to guys that have junior Civics that you don't have to potentially jump into a homologated car straight away. There's now another opportunity to go and develop in the car that you already have. You know, these cars are still plentiful in supply. Come out and give it a go. You know, there's plenty of people, especially last year, that said, we'll give the forestry a go. And I met one competitor in Carrick-on-Shore, a well-known Class 11F Civic driver from Cork. And I met him inside in service at the end of the 3 stages. And I says, how was that? And you see the smile on his face, and he goes, I felt like I've just been in a 17-kilometer long car crash. Just the car was out of control. He says, I started the stage, lost control in the first couple of minutes because he was so used to being on tarmac and everything being dialed in and perfect. But he said it's the most incredible fun. He says, it's just absolutely ringing the life out of my little car here. This is brilliant.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, really, at the end of it all? And like we all know how expensive, and how much rally needs sponsors, and you're very lucky you have some real good people there behind you as well.
In fairness, yeah, and Andrew Mullen from Sligo Palace. So Andrew came on board in 2021. We just came back off COVID. Sorry, 2022. We just came back off COVID. Andrew came on as an associate sponsor. He was a great presence around the championship, and it was through conversations throughout the year between Andrew and our championship coordinator John Quill that the idea was sparked within Andrew to come on board as the title sponsor. So we were delighted that Andrew came on in 23. Andrew, as everyone knows, massive supporter of the sport. So he continues to support the Border Championship as title sponsor. You look at the James Ford competing all over Ireland, the UK, and the C3. He's sponsoring vehicles in the Bowler Racing Championship. Andrew is an incredible supporter of Irish rallying. And we're delighted to know we announced it just in January that Andrew's staying on not only for this year but also for next year. So it's a really strong commitment to the championship and the direction that it's going.
Excellent. Well, Cian, we can only but hope for wish you all the best for the year ahead, and no doubt we'll catch up with you as the year progresses and to see how things are working out.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, we kick off in this weekend. We go to Carney. We have a bit of a break then to Carrick-on-Shore in April. We have Cork in August. We go to the 2 northern rounds. So there's sort of the September doubleheader there. We have the Lakelands and then the Bushwhacker, and then we finish up with the trip out west to Clare in October. So It's a short season, but it's going to be incredibly exciting, and it's sort of make sure that nobody can rest on their laurels in the championship this year.
Excellent. And if anybody wants to get in contact, Irish Forestry Facebook page is probably the best place to get you.
Yeah, so we actually have two brand new websites that we launched in January this year. So if anyone's interested in the MIJRS dual surface, that's mijrs.ie, and we're also on Facebook. And then the Forestry Championship is irlforestchampionship.com. So again, that is all the information on the championship. We've Facebooks, we've Instagrams. We're always open. Anyone that's got any questions about Forest Rallying or wanting to come down and give it a go, get to Castle Island this weekend and have a look. It's going to be a brilliant event.
So I appreciate Cian taking the time there. And then also starting this weekend is the Northern Ireland Championship, round 1 in Kirkiston. And Connor, what can we say? Like, the Northern Ireland Championship seems to be undergoing a bit of resurgence. Great news coming out, the social media is going to step up a level, and the coverage, it's, there's a lot of effort being put into this. Hopefully it all starts to come together for them.
There is getting decent entries and, a nice combination of cars as well. We have a couple of Polos there. Your R5s, Skoda Fabia Evos, C3 Citroens in the mix, your Hyundai i20s, and then your Fiesta Rally 2s. Like, there really is a good selection of cars taking part this weekend.
Yeah, and Pater Hurston coming back as well again in the Polo. It's been probably 2 or 3 years now since Pater's been out. He's finally got I know it took him last year in Circuit Ireland. He had got a Polo, but he was waiting to get it converted over to right-hand drive. So it'd be great to see Pater back out. Like Pater on his day can be hard shook off, but it may take him a few events just to get up to speed in the Polo. But I think once he starts to click with that, but you have to think Johnny Greer. Johnny has won the championship 5 times maybe in a row now. He's a class act. He really is. Him and Niall Burns there.
Absolute class act. And, again, from out of the top 10, Johnny's just recently competed in Galway. He's had a run out this year. He's had a chance to settle in where, when you go down that top 10, I don't think anybody else was taking part there in Galway. So, he's got that advantage as well. He's had a bit of seat time this year already.
Excellent. Yeah, never thought of that. Yeah, that will be invaluable because, especially at the start of the year, it's just you're always that wee bit, need the wee bit of rust shook off too. So he's already that done. He's going to be raring to go there come Saturday morning. And then, this week also as part of that is the Micra Challenge starts off as well too. And, the numbers, they're still, the final numbers is not there yet. They're saying, there's more cars almost finished, not just quite there, so that's getting better and better all the time too. So I think we'll first of all we'll hear from Gavin Campbell, who is the championship coordinator for the Northern Ireland Championship, and then that'll run into Andrew Bushe. Like Andrew's well known for many competitors. Down, he was RPM, he competed himself, but he's now taking the move into the Micras as well too. So, Gavin, the Northern Ireland Championship kicks off this weekend with the first round in Kirkiston. A top class lineup.
Yeah, we're very excited, Kevin. It's a great entry for the first round. Nearly 80 cars in total. We've got the front runners. I think it'll be a very competitive event at the front, including some BRC, British Rally Championship men out to try out. And be interesting to compare the pace of the front Northern Ireland runners with those guys. And of course, right throughout all the classes and our categories like historic, two-wheel drive, junior driver, and of course the Micras. It'll be their first round as well. So it's definitely time to blow the cobwebs off for everybody.
Yeah, because with the Northern Ireland Championship the last few years, it's been slowly building and building. It's been restructured and one thing and another, and going separating them between the tar and the gravel. It's really starting to pay off.
Well, I think it is, and I think you're right. We're trying to build momentum. We've been working very closely with our championship sponsors, McGrady Insurance, who are now into their 11th consecutive year of title sponsorship. And they've really stepped up this year, and we've stepped up our game to match with a hopefully expanded media coverage and trying to raise the general interest. But yeah, a few years ago, we did separate the tarmac from the gravel rounds, and after a bit of maybe a slower start, we're really hoping the Forest Challenge will build up this year. We've actually up from 3 rounds to 4 rounds, and we're very excited about how that championship is growing. There's a lot of interest in gravel rallies right across the island, of course.
Because well, also speaking this episode is to the coordinator from the Southern Forestry Championship, and they're starting this weekend 90 in Killarney. So there's a keen interest in forest rallying throughout the whole island, as you say.
There is, yeah, that goes back. I mean, I remember being involved in the early 1990s with Maxall as the sponsor, and we actually had an All Ireland Forest Championship back then, including all the rounds that are now in the Motorsport Ireland Rally Championship, as well as the rounds that are now in the Northern Ireland Forest Rally Challenge, and a few rallies in that challenge back then that unfortunately no longer exist. I well remember the North Ulster Car Club's Cone Crusher rally that ran through the night. Up in County Antrim and County Derry, some great classic stages. And we'll see some of those stages back in this year's Northern Ireland Forest Rally Challenge. The interest in forest rallying, I think, has never been greater, and it's great to see the Motorsport Ireland Championship, as well as the growth we're seeing in Northern Ireland.
For sure. And then, back to the Tower as well. This year starts off traditionally on the circuit-based events then, and then, goes on to the road style events as well too. So it's a great way of getting up to speed before hitting the roads really. The tracks are a good place to get the speed back.
Well, that's right, Kevin. I think everybody has their own particular views on the two styles of event that we have in the championship, but we've always seen it that particularly having these two circuit-based events at the start of the year, it's a really good opportunity for someone who's bringing out a new car or modified car, or a new crew that wants to get bedded in together. Really good chance, because the format of both those events means you service every stage, so you have a chance to go out, test the car, come back in and adjust something, try a different tire, change the way you're calling the road in the car, whatever you want to do, and then back out, test again, come back in, change again. So that for the first two rounds of the championship, I think it's a good format, and it prepares crews well for heading out then onto the road style stages for the next three rounds. And I think in particular, we're looking forward even beyond the first round this weekend. The race and rally stages at Bishop's Court on the 9th of March has just announced regulations are available, entries are open, but major changes there. The Ballynahinchon District Motor Club have invested heavily over the winter period, and we've now got a circuit-style event with no splits, no merges, and no lapping. And I think that really responds to competitor feedback we've been getting over the years. So hopefully that'll be reflected in a good competition on that event as well.
Yeah, because I've seen some photos on social media, and they have put a lot of effort, and they've fixed parts of the track that people were starting to say were getting a wee bit rough, and as you say, put huge effort, and they're getting good mileage as well without the merges and the loops as well.
Well, that event will have the same mileage. Now we're running to 8 stages, and instead of 6 stages to get that mileage, but every stage is 4.5 miles, and we're getting the necessary variation into the stages as well. And as you say, we've surfaced some of the roads, and in many parts of the stage we've replaced the tires that marked out the course with earth banks. So over the years, particularly as we get a bit of green growing up on the earth banks, it'll start to feel much more like a road stage and less like an airfield stage. So I think that's a really interesting development, and we're looking forward to see what sort of feedback we get on that after the event.
Excellent. And then Kirkston this weekend, you couldn't ask for a better top 10. That top 10 would be respectable anywhere in the country.
It's a very good top 10. We have a number of former Northern Ireland and even Irish national champions among them in the top 10. I haven't actually done the tally, but the number of Rally 2 and R5 cars wouldn't disgrace any national or international event on the island. So it could be a great competition.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that quality runs right throughout the field as well too. The modifieds, the Rally 4 starting to really come to the fore now as well. And and it's great to see young talent coming into the sport as well.
It does. I mean, in the Northern Ireland Championship, one of the things we've been discussing is, we've always tried to provide classes for all the homologated cars. And, in the last couple of years, we've realized it must be 15 or 20 years since a Group N car was last homologated. So we've been trying to encourage more of the FIA Rally 5 and Rally 4 cars, the two-wheel drive homologated cars. So we've created an FIA two-wheel drive category as well as our overall two-wheel drive category. Connor Wilson won that. Connor and Katie Wilson won that last year. But we've also we've also got our other categories as well, and it's interesting to see. One interesting entry in Kirkuson, I think we'll be looking to see is a driver, a front-running driver that's making a switch from two-wheel drive to overall four-wheel drive, and that's Marty Toner, who's switched from his BMW to a Proton, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no better man than Marty Toner can steer a car. It'll just be interesting to see how he adapts to the four-wheel drive. And then another man that's making this the swap from a driver's seat to the co-driver's seat is MA Rally Academy, Josh McLean. He's going to be sitting with his father. I love those wee interesting stories that rallying every now and again throws up.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that'll be an interesting one to see how much of that experience is able to be shared across the car. But at the end of the day, rallying is serious and it's about championships and there's a lot of investment in it. But at the end of the day, it's a fun day out, and it's good to see families getting together and enjoying the fun of the stage. And I think it's worth pointing out, one of our Northern Ireland champions that's out on Saturday is actually running at the other end of the field, where we've Robin Phillips is co-driving for his daughter Laura in the Micra Challenge. Yeah. So that sharing of experience happens at both ends of the field.
Yeah, and I spoke to Andrew Bushe about the Micra Challenge. The strength and depth. It's starting to really fill up now, and whereas before Stevie Whitford and Young White were the sort of guys you just knew. This year it's so much more open. Andrew Bushe, Stanley Orr coming into the series. It's going to really start mixing things up now at the top of the Micras as well.
Well, it is, and if you look at the second round of last year's championship, and favoured by the conditions because it turned quite wet during the day, but Stephen Whitford was actually fastest two-wheel drive car overall on round 2 of the Northern Ireland Championship, beat all those Millington Escorts and all the other fast two-wheel drive cars. So a bit of damp conditions or slippy conditions, and it fairly shakes up the field. So I think driving talent shows through whatever class you're looking at. It's actually one of the things we're hoping to pick up on our improved media coverage. Where as we've been putting out in the last week or so, we've launched a new YouTube channel with a short preview video. We're launching early next week. We'll have an interview with Johnny Greer, the reigning champion. But as we start to go into the rally reports, we are very interested in trying to pick up on the stories throughout the field. We'll obviously try to tell the story of how the championship's going, but we're really interested in picking up class battles and driving feats throughout the field and personalities behind the scenes. And in fact, we will be encouraging people. We'll announce next week an email address. People can send us camera phone clips or in-car footage if they want to get those included in our rally reports. So we're putting our toe in the water here, but we're very open-minded about what way we can go with this, and it's very exciting. I think we'll probably have a long way to go to replace the old RPM programs, but we're trying to create a bit of that anticipation that people always used to look the week after the rally to see what the summary was, how people got on, what it did to the championship, and a piece of that. So.
Yeah, because you always found with RPM that we kind of know that people are tuning in, but they know the result of the rally. It's not going, it's telling the story behind the story, and I think that's invaluable. That's being able to go and maybe chat to Josh McLean and his father, to see how they're getting on, or Laura and Robin Phillips, and just how the roles have been reversed and how that's going to work, and we things like that. I think all that brings a more of a human element to the thing.
I think you're right, and I think what we've seen with some of the the Facebook Live coverage from the end of stages, I think what brings it to life for a lot of people is you're moving beyond just the action shots of seeing a car in action, and you're actually seeing the personalities and the faces, and you're beginning to recognise people, and that's something we're keen on. I think the interviews at the end of stage and in the service area are just as much a part of the rally as the driving skills on the stage, and that's the opportunity you get when you're putting an edited program together after the event. You can pick and choose to try and help to explain the sport a bit as well to maybe people who are just new to it or just trying to learn about it, and that's a feature as well. A lot of our coverage is enthusiasts talking to enthusiasts, so we're trying to broaden that a bit as well and make it more accessible to more people.
Yeah, because a lot of times we are preaching to the converted. That's nice to be able to push it out beyond the normal echo chamber.
I think that's right, and I think that's what that's what we're trying to recreate a bit. I think RPM did a bit of that. It's what they used to talk about, the water cooler moment on a Friday morning. when you met somebody in the office who had a passing interest, and they would talk about what was on the TV last night. So what we'd aim to do is have a set time and date after each rally, maybe the Wednesday or Thursday after the event. And we release the rally reports so that it becomes something that people can look forward to and kind of anticipate that the week after the rally, getting that catch up and see who's made it into the final product.
Yeah, and then I suppose to wrap things up, where can we find, is all these links on social media, or where do we find them?
So yes, you can find them on social media. Look up McGrady Insurance Northern Ireland Rally Championship and McGrady Insurance Northern Ireland Forest Rally Challenge, both on Facebook. We're launching our Twitter, relaunching our Twitter within the next few days. And I think we're on Instagram now as well. I need to double check on that. But yeah, the website as well is a key resource for us. So we're using the website more as a reference channel for people if people want to find regulations, points tables, and all that sort of information. But the YouTube channel will be YouTube/NI Rally. So that NI Rally hashtag is used on all social media channels to get the McGrady Insurance Championships, both on the tarmac and in the forests.
Andrew, we're days away now from the start of the Northern Ireland Championship, and as part of the Northern Ireland Championship is the Micra Challenge. And you've signed up to the Micra Challenge this year. New challenge, something you're looking forward to, I would say.
I'm really looking forward to it, Kevin. I think it's going to be fun. I've seen the challenge the last couple of years. Everybody looks to have great fun and camaraderie, and I think that's what it's all about. It's I've had brief run in the car, and it was very much fun to drive. It feels like a really good car to drive. It's going to be a lot of and tight competition, so I think that's the big thing as well.
Yeah, and as well for the front wheel drives, kind of going back to your, a throwback for you, because you come up through front wheel drive, the 106 and the Saxo and things like that too. So it'd be nice to get back into the front wheel drive again as well.
It's been, like, believe it or not, I think it's 14 years since the last car I had was the C2, and you start off in Nova, and then the 106 was probably the best car I had with the Tarmac Championship in it and stuff. But yeah, I always loved front wheel drive. I still love my Chevette. I haven't let it go completely. I'll have it out at some point. But I'm looking forward to it. But I've seen the guys in the Micra Challenge, the likes of Stephen Whitford and young Philip White and things, and they're on a big pace. So not under any illusion that I'm going to be doing any big things at Kirkuson. So just go and enjoy it and see how we go.
Yeah, because last year the Micra Challenge was something else. It was the promotion around it. They had their own dedicated show at the end of each event, and even the way they went about it, it was such a professionally run series for just a group of guys and girls out enjoying the sport.
Well, that's right, and I think this showed a lot of people that had TV coverage on YouTube, and it probably was the only rallying to make the BBC News all last year. So the sort of and there's guys behind it, Stephen Whitford obviously, and Sean Foy, and Peter Dowd just put a lot of his own effort and even finance in to help get that all going. And then all the associate sponsors as well. So they've really put a lot of effort in. I'm only new to it this year. They've asked me to help out a little bit just to try and help get more people involved in it, and I'm sort of quite new to it. So, but I've seen what they were doing, and it looks like fun, and there's really good competition in it. You've obviously Stephen, who won the 2-wheel drives outright at Bishopscourt, and I was there and saw that, and that was amazing, And then young Philip White's extremely fast, and he's at that car since he was doing Junior 1000, and they've developed that car on, and that's real. The results they've got from a very low budget car. I mean, that shows you how you can do that still. And then Stanley Orr. I mean, Stanley could drive a wheelbarrow quickly, so he'll just be very fast, Yeah. And then Peter had a great result in Shackleton. I think he was 18th or 19th overall. So there's really tight competition there, and then they've got the standard class, and we've 2 competitors in that, Laura Phillips and a new competitor, Jonathan Eady, as well. So it seems to be really taken off, so it does.
Yeah, this standard class, this could be, this is going to make it the transition from somebody that's never rallied before into rallying such an easy step, because there's so limited upgrades you can do to the car, or little changes you can do to the car. Yes, obviously all the safety gears, but the car itself is pretty standard.
Yeah, I think you're allowed limit slip differential and has to be standard engine and gearbox and no lightweight panels and things. But the thing about it is the beauty of it, I suppose, going back to the 70s or 80s where you could have had a Mark II Escort and maybe started with a Crossflow and went to a Pinto and a BDA. Somebody starts in the standard class, they can upgrade. We go to a car like Philip White's, this narrow track and has all the gearbox and engine right. And then if they wanted to, they could obviously wide track it eventually and go the kit car road, so they can develop on from the start as well, in the class. And I think that's what rallying needs, new people in it. I think we need to get new people involved in it, and it's a very difficult sport to get into now.
Yeah,
A
because
lot of regulations.
it is so many regulations and so much expense. So anything that can be done to make it more affordable, I think, has to be hugely applauded.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's face it, I can't afford to really rally a full season in my Chevette, to be honest. That's, I can't afford. I'd love to do Clarny again and Donegal in 3 days, but I just don't have the finances to do that at the minute, So this involves a lot of Northern Ireland Championship rallies plus other rounds as well, like St Angelo, and it's a cheaper way of going, keeps the cost down, and then there's prize money. We'll do a prize draw. So there's first to fourth place. So the person even who doesn't finish could win £150 potentially, and they're the ones that might really need it more than the guy that's won that day, So they have different things in that. And I think that's where, we need to get back to in rallying. And there's a lot of people starting off and involved in it that small amount of money, it might just make a wee difference to get into the next round, help pay the entry or whatever, and that all helps,
For sure. And Stevie Watford, what can we say that has never been said about this man already? What he has done, and over the years in a meager budget, he was probably world class if he had got the opportunity. But for him to come and get involved and set himself up there as the target for all you guys then competing, it must be an honour to compete against somebody of Stevie's stature.
Yeah, well, I've known Stephen since I was young, like 16, 17, going to rallies in the original Micra Challenge where we used to help service per Paul Crossing, and Stephen was away and stuff for those rallies, and he was a front runner in the original Micra Challenge. He nearly won it, obviously, and whatnot, and along with people like Al McShay at the time and things. That's how big that was. So quite rightly, I think he could have been maybe a factory driver at one point, So, and it's interesting that he's come back to the Micras, which proves somebody is a high level driver, obviously enjoy driving the Micras. So it's one of the reasons we went that way, So, and of course he's, I need to get my own car isn't quite up to spec on the engine front. So that's my excuse, but the driving needs to come on a bit as well to try and see if we can get anywhere close to him. It's not a matter of trying to beat Stephen Whitford. It's seeing how close that it could eventually get, and got to give himself time as well. So, yeah.
And then and Stanley Orr, another man too, who won a British title back in the 80s. Then went down the historic route for a good few years there too, and was done exceptional things in the British Historic Championship as well. And somebody like Stanley's coming and trying to make it. It shows that they are a very capable car.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you maybe get chatting to Stanley during the year, but as far as I can see, he's enjoying it, and Stanley's extremely quick, and again, actually was a factory driver at one point in the 80s with the Corrie culture of all things, but he's a former British Group N champion, as you say, and he's still very, very fast, and I've co-driven once for Stanley in the Escort, and I know that he'll adapt quickly to anything, and he'll be right up there, so he will. And it's another level. There's some really top drivers in the category, and you could put, say, Stephen Whitford into an R5, and he could potentially win that rally. That's the sort of so that's what you want. You want to be competing against proper drivers, So, but yeah, it'll be fun. So.
Yeah, and that that's the word you keep saying is fun. Like this is what this is what the Micra Challenge is about. Yes, it's competitive. You want to do well, but it's fun. It seems to be the real ethos of the whole championship. They've got people involved that were never involved in rallying before. Like Clodagh last year won the co-drivers championship, I think, and she had never competed in a rally until last year. And she just had a ball. Like this is getting people involved that maybe they were marshalling or maybe they were behind the scenes. It's getting them involved and getting them competing.
Well, Clodagh obviously she co-drove with Sean Foy, and Sean's very enthusiastic about the challenge and putting a lot of work in to run it too. And we've got with Gavin Campbell as coordinator doing points and all load of work behind the scenes. There's a whole team there, and every one of them's keen to get new people into rallying. I think that is one of the key things we're trying to promote it. It's a nice way that people can get in at a relatively low cost, and there's a group there to help them out with, keep the cars going, and then you can improve the car you have. If you buy a Ford Fiesta 2-wheel drive now, standard one, you can't go into your garage and make that into a Rally 2 to win Galway or Donegal in. It's not possible. Whereas your Micra, you can start in the basics and go into a car that's going to challenge at the front, So I think there's something to be said for that. And, if you look at people came through the original Micra Challenge and the 106 Cup and things years ago, they were the best times, I think, and rallying, and the drivers came through, and competing in fairly equal machinery brings the most out of yourself,
For sure. Yeah, because that's where Colin McRae, Richard Burns, Ryan Champion, Chris Meek, all these guys that are the names just trip off the tongue. Like the cream of Irish and British rallying all come through that one Mike series back in the day, and we can see it coming back now with the Stellantis Cup and the Tarmac Championship, and it's good to see that returning.
Well, it is, yeah, and I think it's excellent to see that. I think Raymond Moore's done an excellent job, and Racing Rally are one of the associate sponsors for the Micra Challenge. So we've got other people on board like Alufix, Vanilla Black, Humphreys, Rally Sport do the parts, Miller's Oils and Macon Shop Fitting, just to mention those. But yes, it's a great way of getting things back together for competitor focused as well, and I think that's the encouragement that it needs, and I think the guys should be applauded. It's to say I'm only just joining in this last month or two, it's the likes of Stephen and Sean and Peter and Gavin and all behind the scenes that have brought this on, and hopefully there's a lot of interest at the moment in it. A lot of people building cars. There'll be a lot more cars out for Bishop's Court. People finishing cars are 90% finished, so you could see it being 10 cars at Bishop's Court, maybe 15 by the end of the season, and maybe more by next year. It has potential to actually really grow.
Yeah, for sure. And the great thing as well too, for somebody coming into the sport, or even seasoned competitors, it's got tracks, it's got the roads, and it's got gravel. It's a good mixture of everything. It's not just it's not just one discipline. You get the full array of rallying.
It is. It's given the mix, and then you've got the good thing is you've the tarmac at the start of the year, so your car's got the wheels and tires for that, and then you can save up. I don't have a gravel kit for my own car, for example, so it gives me time to try and save up and get the wheels and tires and whatever I need. But I don't think there's any massive changes from tarmac to gravel with the car. It's mainly ride height and stuff like that, which again is not too expensive, so that's sensible the way that's done. And the 3 track events are created partly for the people in the standard class, so if they're new to rallying, they're going to start the very first rallies are going to be the single venues to get them experience before they hit the roads, so that's a reason behind that, which is quite sensible as well, so but it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and then just you mentioned earlier too the Chevette. The Chevette it's parked up for now, but you'd like to get it out at least once or twice this year.
Yeah, I'd like to get it out. I had an Ulster Rally had a niggly engine problem, and we just stripped it all down, so we're getting it back together yet again. I'm afraid. So it is. It's a brilliant car when it goes right, and with a great wee run on the down rally. I had it out in the year. We end up second historic and our quickest time and whatnot. I was happy with the car, But and I love it. You know, I love HSR Chevette since it was 3. You know, so it will be out again. But I'm focusing at the minute. I have to sort of put the budget into this here for a bit. But I'll pick an event sort of later in the year and get the Chevette that exercise. You know, so it's still there's a great buzz when you get that going, and you know it's there's anybody that's rallied a Chevette will know that it's a heavy brute, you know, so you literally have to wrestle it round, so you do, you know, so get back on the dumbbells again and get it out. But it's good. The car has potential and it's shown potential, and it's just a matter of getting reliability. If we can get that, I think we'll not be a million miles away, you know.
Well, thanks there to Andrew and Gavin there. I really appreciate them taking the time, and hopefully Andrew will see that Chevette out before too long, you know. Connor, like this weekend, we said we were starting off with the Irish Forestry and the Northern Ireland Championship, but round 2 is the WRC as well.
Absolutely, yeah. All eyes on Sweden this weekend, and with William Crichton and Liam Regan starting their WRC2 campaign in the Fiesta. And then in the juniors, and it's going to be a very competitive junior field. There's 19 juniors taking part, and the junior championship kicks off in Sweden. And Eamon Kelly and Conor Mohan are taking part. So this is their second year to compete in it. And then don't forget, we've got Aaron Johnson sitting with Takamoto. Hopefully, like they had a good run last year, certainly had plenty of speed on the snow. And, you know, I'd be hopeful now that there's a good result if things go their way.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, like Wall and Liam had a good run there last weekend. I know they done course car in the event in Sweden, getting some useful miles and below the belt too. So hopefully that should be them ripping and raring to go now come Friday morning.
But that's it. Yeah, they've had a bit of seat time and a bit of seat time in snow. Like they've so little experience on that, you know, on the icy, snowy surface, and using the snowbanks to keep you on the straight and narrow as such. That at least they've clocked up a few miles, you know, with only a week apart from actually competing. So fingers crossed that does play to their advantage.
And then as you say, like the JWRC 19 starters, that's unheard of, and that, you know, and that it's brilliant. It really is, you know, and that will help drive everybody on though too. And like we, you know, get into year 2 for Eamon and Connor now. We really wish and hope they have a real good season. They deserve all the luck of the Irish now this weekend.
Absolutely. They really do. And you know, it's great that there's a good squad, obviously, you know, the MI Academy there to support them, but also, you know, they've got William and Liam to go to for advice. William and Liam have been through this, come out the other end as our champions in the junior WRC, but at least they're there, can give some advice, some help, some support, and fingers crossed, you know, a bit of their luck rubs off.
That's for sure. So that's the end of this episode. So that can you just, as we said at the start, if you can, you know, subscribe to the channel. That's gratefully appreciated. I think I'll rate or comment them things. It all makes a huge difference. So that is season 3, episode 9. Until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.